Good evening, free enterprise fans around the world, and welcome to a fantastic Friday night edition of Free Enterprise featuring four amazing runners and a focus on one very special little girl. That would be Rydia. And speaking of special folks, we are also joined making their commentary debut by Deathlike. How you doing this evening, Deathlike?
I'm doing well. I'm hoping everyone's doing well too in Free Enterprise. It's great to be here. Love Final Fantasy IV because I don't know if you just just write it just trying to get it out of the way. It's pretty difficult. It's for me.
Definitely. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. We are certainly happy to have you here. I know that you have an utter wealth of game knowledge that I am going to look to tap into to try to explain to folks kind of some of the things that are going on. And speaking of some of those things, we do have a quintuple boss hunt this evening with that Rydia that we talked about. That is a Rydia hero, a forced start with some robe-centric bosses that we are trying to find. What's that Rydia hero gonna do for our runners, either positively or negatively?
Yeah, you'll just have to be finding a lot of summons to get her started, and probably try to buff her levels a little early. Though personally, I think Team 90 HP start with an Edward would be very fun to at least for us the viewers to watch. Not so much for the runners, but good luck to them because they're making the entertainment for us.
Absolutely, and those four runners we do have Y2 Sky, Warlink, Enki Dave, and Commander Leonhardt, four fantastic runners that you should make sure you give a follow to if you aren't already. They are absolutely wonderful people, and you should definitely check them out in addition to just this race. I know personally I'm hoping for a Porum to go with this Rydia, mainly because I'm not racing, and that would excite me because I usually am the one who's stuck with the Porums, and that's just not super helpful early on with a team like this.
I mean, I love Porum, but Rose is better, obviously, but Porum is it's kind of the love in my heart for the cutest twin. Little bop here and there. Just give her own robe, and she's on her way.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and she is a white mage, and you can't go wrong with a white mage. Speaking of can't go wrong, now our runners are going to go in a relatively straight line. Once they turn a corner here, they find a Cid. That is a fantastic start. A tower key, a Magus Sisters, and some items in some starting kits. I know if I were running this, I'd be super excited to have a Cid as a companion for this Rydia. What is your thoughts on that starting Cid, Deathlike?
I mean, you got the HP, you get some decent firepower. I mean, you just want the tank, and if for some reason Rydia falls, you have Cid to do all the work, at least for now. Can't go wrong.
Yeah, no, I would definitely be looking for something to help Cid kind of bop his way through the overworld, kind of carry Rydia for a little while, and see what he can do. Our runners do have the ability to go through and loot pretty much wherever they want because the T Wild flag is on, so loot is unweighted, and you can go pretty much anywhere and go ahead and get that loot taken care of. There's no rhyme or reason to going any one place other than find the densest locations. And one thing y'all might be noticing is the overworld is a little bit darker than normal. Night mode is on, and night mode means that most of the overworld shops are going to be closed. It is kind of a play on, in this case, Crystalvania, where Rydia is going to need to invest in some oak stakes if she wants to get through this.
I love the whole night idea. I mean, it was used kind of when Edward did the classic water hag fight, and applying it to the whole world is kind of a nice touch, actually. Kind of thematic, definitely thematic. and great for this flag set.
Definitely, and I have to call attention to this Damsian. I saw a Leviathan, a Change Rod, a Sylph, and a Crystal Ring. Wow.
Rydia's fine. Right, we're good for Rydia.
I was not expecting to see loot that good and a Rune Axe in there for Sid. Like, what more do you really need for this team to get him going? That's pretty fantastic. And looks like Commander Leonhardt going to show us a Jinn or Ifrit, depending on your version of Final Fantasy, summon as the free summon. So a little bit of fire damage there for runners who may not pick up that Leviathan.
It's like I think the Leviathan will carry though. So Jinn is it's something. It's the fire Rydia wanted, you know.
She is canonically afraid of fire because of certain events that happened as a young child, namely her village exploding and her mom perishing, which is understandable. That would be pretty traumatic. So Rydia learning that summon instead of learning Fire 1, going to be able to do some things. And looks like, speaking of doing things, most of our runners are headed over to the Antlion Cave and over to Hobbs to see who the next character is going to be. I know personally I would hope for like a Cecil or a Kain to complement this team, but looks like we get a Tella and a Valvalis. This is kind of an awkward spot for Val. I know that you're going to be able to punch through it here. I don't think Magic's going to do much, but I think Sid carries the day here.
Yeah. So I think we missed the Mylon and friends in the waterfall. So they'll come back to it probably in a while. I think we need few more levels before we do some of that.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. That Mylon and Friends is objective number 3. So Waterfall, I believe, again, holding value. I want to say that Water Hag was in the Waterfall on the Monday night race edition. So Waterfall holding double value on this flag set this week.
CPU at Antlion spot seems like a good thing. Should be the easiest fight and probably the painless fight too. We're not gonna have to do too much. Let's do his job. Oh, we have a Stardust Rod on Rydia for Enjadave, so that should help quite a bit. Ignoring Reflect.
Yeah, Stardust Rod really nice, and also a Zeus Gauntlet that we see Commander Leonhardt picking up from the Antlion Treasury Room, I guess as you would call it. That is going to be pretty huge as well. So a lot of nice loot for our runners. No surprise with it being T-Wild, but relevant loot as well. No spicy hook routes tonight, though. Looks like we get a Magma Key from Antlion. So looks like Smapty feeling a little generous to our runners.
Although I know the hook route is everyone's favorite, but just imagine any one of our objectives in the King Queen Elden spot just for fun. That'll be the.
I know that I would hope for the Dark Imps personally at the King Queen Eblin spot because there's 3 of them. The attack doesn't get split and they hit super hard. I'm also mean.
Yeah, it's funny how they coded all these spots where no punching occurs have the biggest punch. It's totally balanced.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how you fight a boss like Leviathan in the vanilla game, which is just purely waves and ices. And then you find out it has like 175 attack power, which is more or less the maximum, if I recall. And the Leviathan spot, if you get something like Baigan or Dark Imps there, they will just abuse your poor party. So one of those kind of interesting situations, as you were alluding to, the way the coding works or doesn't in those situations, it's very interesting.
We're gonna peek in the underground very soon with Enjadave, so that's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I like the routing. no reason to really put off the underground unless you plan on doing like Baron Inn or Ordeals first. This allows you to set up the Sheila 1 check as well as do the Fey March, depending on the order you want to do it. I think I agree with Angry Dave here that you would just go through, set this up, maybe you hit the pan down here, maybe you even get a little spicy and you do a half tower play. Since it's only 600 HP there, maybe take 2 shots at getting the pan, set up that Sheila 1 or potentially Sheila 2 check, and then go do Fagul defense as well. So we'll see what Dave decides to do, but I'm curious if any of our runners do that early tower key check.
More interested in what the bosses are at this spot, just for seeing who's gonna make your life miserable. Can ignore altogether, depending on what we get.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, with this flag set, the case summon flag is on, so these bosses could be in play for a darkness crystal or a potential required key item. So I would personally like to see some rude things down here, and it's not really what you want to see in Leviathan at the Asura spot. The ices are going to do a lot of damage, but not too threatening, and dolls are honestly not that scary. A Quake, an Hourglass, any of those type of things will fairly easily handle it.
Well, I think dolls and vanilla, they were scary. Just trying to deal them with vanilla is pretty. It required actual work, and with the options you have, you don't have a spellcaster. Well, I mean, offensive spellcaster, and relying on like Cecil and Kane to time your kills, avoiding the big doll, which kind of gives me chills when it actually shows up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm thankful that I didn't have to experience that, and by the time I played vanilla, I knew all these fancy things from pre-Enterprise. So it was a different experience that I had compared to what I think most folks went through. We do see some folks doing some shopping. Warlink was showing us off that the shop in Troya, the Pass shop, does in fact have items in it, and was able to find, I believe, vampires and life potions. And then Commander Leonhardt showing us some sirens. Those sirens could come in handy certainly later for levels, but could even come in handy now, so that Commander Leonhardt can get Leviathan online for Rydia.
Yeah, sirens are. I mean, haven't seen enough of these. Just the egg grind is just wonderful, but of course you can do other grinds with sirens that are just as useful. So we're not limited to one thing, but it allows that grind to choose your own grind, and that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And we had a ceiling tile installer, courtesy of Commander Leonhardt. Also in that little area with the job dwarf, a ribbon, a life staff, a glass hat. Quite the little treasury in Tomra tonight.
Yeah, glass hat makes anyone pretty much an instant tank. I mean, the Harem robe is pretty much up there, but glass hat is for everyone. So, well, except for Dark Knight Cecil, but pretty much anyone can be a pretty much living tank up front if we really need that.
Yeah, that glass hat, I think it has something like 30 physical defense, which by comparison, something like a black belt gi has somewhere between 7 and 10. It is a huge amount of defense, and there's the Dark Imps just chilling for Angry Dave over in Fagul. So that is going to be Objective 5. So we know Objectives 3 and 5, only looking for 3 more objectives. Smithy maybe has places to be this Friday night.
Interesting. Warlick is going for the back of Mount or the out Hobbs. Usually it's a nice play once you have someone who has exit, and I think he's going to use the item. Oh, there we go.
I mean, it's 4 chests that they're fairly dense, and you're already up here. Do a little bit of looting and see, what becomes of it. So I don't hate the play. And looks like Dave ends up getting a Luca key for his troubles for Sheila 1. So I'm not sure that that's going to be something our runners really want to tackle, mainly because even if any of the bosses show up right now, Water Hag is going to be awfully punchy and super fast at that location. The Gauntlet is just dreadful down there. And Mylon Z will still be pretty strong in that location too.
Gauntlet. Those are fun. Those are fun times. I just definitely love the places where it shows up at, especially Oko spot. It's beautiful. It's probably the best one I've seen at any given point.
Yeah, the Ogopogo Gauntlet, definitely a fun time. And speaking of potential Ogopogo Gauntlets, I believe Dave did pick up a Darkness Crystal from the Fabul Defense, which does give him access to face check the moon if he wants. The bosses themselves are not required otherwise, but maybe he makes an early run and sees what he's up against. Or maybe just checking for the character, since as far as those character settings are concerned, we are on C standard, meaning Fustoya and Edge are going to be gated. This would be a place where you can find them, would be up on the Lunar Dais.
Yeah, I think peeking for information, especially like Value Cave, Cave Bahamut, as has been referred to, is it's when you can get an information, whether you have to fight it or not, is always valuable. If you don't have to do it, great. If you have to do it, at least you can plan around it, and you can, especially with trackers, you can make the most of it. You can limit the kind of checks you have to do down the road, whether it's key item or otherwise.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And knowledge is power, as the old saying goes. Edward is not power until we find a spoon. The spoon flag, thankfully, is on, which is great for our runners and great for Edward. But until we find that spoon, Edward is just kind of a dude that plays music for the rest of the team and hopefully keeps them happy and full of joy, because he is not going to meaningfully contribute except in very niche situations.
Just any extra character, I think, at this point for his party is probably better than nothing, which is not much to say. But I mean, one would hope he would get a spoon sooner rather than later. But then again, we've seen seeds where you yeet the bard and then the spoon magically appears. So you can't just decide too quickly. You got time.
Definitely. And on this flag set, C-Buy is not on, so any characters who are booted from the party will go back to the Tower of Wishes in Mysidia. So even if our runners yeet Ol Edward, they will be able to get him back should they come across a spoon, or if they need him for some other sort of rude boss like an Evil Wall or a Dark Knight Cecil.
Those are brutal bosses for sure. I think Pain Man, Dark Knight Cecil, as we refer to that battle, outside of those wonderful words of wisdom. That Dark Wave doesn't care about your defenses, doesn't care about anything. Just cares about can you take the pain? That's all that matters.
Yeah, good old true damage. It does not care about much. It's not like Yang's kick, which is able to be reduced or mitigated by any sort of physical defense. Dark Wave just does Dark Wave things. And speaking of things that just do things, we have a pair of Lunar Dragons hanging out. I believe this is Mount Ordeal Spot 1. And we have just Stardust raining from the sky. Fire's coming out from the D Lunar now because it's left alone, but should be perishing shortly. Might be having a little bit of a last stand here in a couple of fires, but one more Stardust, and this fight's going to be over for Dave, while Y2 Sky's getting into that same fight.
Interesting, NG Dave's going, and I don't think he's found the Tela yet. I don't remember where they picked them up, but in for the other runners. But I mean, obviously, if you want when we're doing ordeals, we want a Paladin and a Tela that comes online. That's why we do it. But I'm guessing we're doing this mostly for the boss checks, because this is primarily a boss hunt. So it's 3 checks and worth checking all 3.
Yeah, it is worth noting that Dave reset out, maybe didn't want to take a crack at that Val. It could have been concerned, but has decided that he's going to push through on this Mount Ordeals instead. This Odin in this spot, Zantetsuken, for lack of a better term, will absolutely tenderize your party. It will do, I want to say, like 4,000 damage here. Thankfully, it's super slow, and Dave is able to get through, and we see Y2 Sky coming in very close behind, has some extra MP, has the summons. I don't know that Dave has the Leviathan summon.
That's kind of unfortunate. You definitely want a Rydia online. Probably might not have checked the early checks at Damcian, which is I don't know where he started his checks, but I think that might have been it.
Yeah, I think that everyone else has that Leviathan summon that we've seen on Restream so far. That I think Y2 Sky, Warlink, and Commander Leonhardt making good use of that. Dave is still making great time and making his way through, but that Leviathan is something that's going to have legs for the entirety of a seed. It is that powerful. Our runners are going to get a Baron key, so they are going to be able to take on whatever they want and have some nice little routing where they can go to Baron, do the inn, and also take out the Baron Castle. Mom Bomb here in the Ordeals chamber, pretty nasty, to be totally honest. Not really a boss you want to see here.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like vanilla, you were never meant to take out the extra 9,000 HP once he starts going off, and that's kind of brutal. So it's kind of one of those, well, could be worse, but once the explode goes off, we can start using the Stardust Rod in a more meaningful manner and finish off the battle, which looks like the thing to do.
I'm scared here. Is this going to target all? It did not.
Oh, time too early.
This is rough. This might be a wipe. I'm crossing my fingers for Dave that Rydia is fast enough. Okay, she is. So one of the small issues with targeting on Mom Bomb is if you don't wait until your targeting hits all of the baby bombs, they will only target with an area of effect attack one of them. You have to let the cursor target all of them, and we saw that with Dave there. I'm glad he did not wipe, but that's always a scary proposition with Mom Bomb, is you get a little itchy with that trigger finger, and you're like, oh, I just need to kill them. And it's like, wait, no, this is bad now.
Yeah, so it's this kind of thing that probably you see for like Baigen and Quake Kid, where you want to just target everything, but you have to wait till the arms come back before you destroy to attack them. But then maybe you don't care. Maybe it doesn't matter. So it's something. But the game remembers what the target is, and given that if there's only one target on the field, it remembers to just target one thing. And for Mom Bomb's case, it just retargets onto one of the 6 bombs, which is not what you're looking for. So you have to be mindful about what the game remembers as targeting. So if as an example, like you're trying to heal everyone with a cure for whatever, and one person's dead. Well, if he wasn't living before that targeting happens, well, too bad he's not getting healed. So timing is everything. So you might have to wait a little bit sometimes, be a little bit more patient. before, unless you don't care, which is just a good, valid enough option as well.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. Have to be patient. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up, and that is a good example of it. We also see Dave here going through, attacked with Edward, maybe thinking Edward would not have acted first there. And we have some guards here. These guards, I feel like we maybe have seen them before.
Yeah.
Maybe in this exact spot. Just, I guess this would be French vanilla.
Yeah, good French vanilla. So it's nice to see some form of vanilla that happens, and I love it too. It's good, especially if there were a Yang at the spot. But things can happen in a randomizer. There's only so many spots you can put a boss and character, and hey, there's always that chance you'll have that vanilla and you'll like it.
Absolutely, and looks like the power of that Leviathan made a big deal in that Baron Guards fight, as well as some of those Ordeals fights, as Y2 Sky effectively has caught up to and past Engie Dave right now. Has decided that he's not going to go after that Baron Castle, though, that he is going to go make some other checks. So that's a little bit of an interesting play from my perspective. I would have thought that would be a really clean route to just go Baron in straight to Baron Castle.
Yeah, but maybe some people just don't like those checks. Maybe some people have their particular things to fade, and sometimes that comes back to bite you. Sometimes it doesn't. Either way, you make that decision, and you have to live with it. Sometimes.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I personally have never seen anyone who has lived and died by fading certain things. It's not a thing that's super common where people make a whole bunch of big memes about it. It looks like Y2 Sky is going to opt to go after the known information here, the Mylon and friends in the waterfall. So maybe that was something that he was opting to do, was say, okay, let me just go after my objective now. Instead of going after potential objectives in Baron. I also just think that Baron check is a long check, which admittedly it is. It is not a short one. So could be hoping to fade it, maybe opting for like a Dwarf Castle or a Tower Key, and just not have to deal with the cutscenes in Baron. Could be what he's choosing to go with here.
I think the worst thing about the Baron check is really if you're trying to get out. So if you just say you have all your last objectives at a Baron, and then you have to walk all the way out. Well, exit's not going to help you there. So, and I don't think Warp is either. So sometimes it's you like it, you want to do it, just you do it all like if the last things at Baigen spot, but you don't want to do the King Nazo spot. That's. You cannot pick your poison, so that's probably so the Baron check isn't appealing sometimes, and I can understand that. Though I can also understand the convenience check. You're already here, why not do it? So.
Yeah, multiple lines of thought. There's no right or wrong answer. It remains to be seen what ends up being the correct play for this seed, but always worth discussion points. To see how multiple folks think, what should this route be? Where should we go with it? We do see, again, the power of that Leviathan coming out from Commander Leonhardt, just wiping those D-Lunars off the face of the earth, or washing them away, as it were, where Warlink actually making use of that Jin summon from Rydia, going to take the fire weakness for the D-Lunars. So we have kind of a battle of superior summons going on.
Strangely enough, there are some undead that are not weak against holy, and these happen to be one of them. So you have to kind of keep that in mind for some undead. D-Lunars happen to be one of them.
Yeah, it's always interesting how you think, the Crystal Sword does tons of damage to D-Lunars. They must be weak to holy. when in reality, it's because the Crystal Sword actually hits the undead weakness. That's something that took me a long time to understand when I was first starting out in this game, that it wasn't a holy weakness, that the White Spear doesn't do a darn thing. The Excal doesn't do a darn thing, but that Crystal Sword hitting that undead weakness just melts the D-Lunars.
Yeah, if you know the racial type of a monster and exploit it does favors. Like you run an egg grind where you have a dragon whip on Rydia, it's awesome. And you multiply essentially your attack power by 4, and that is a lot, especially given when you consider the Crystal Sword, which is a lot of burr. Well, give it multiply it by 4. See what happens. Oh, quad 9s. What a beautiful sight.
Speaking of beautiful sights, and I use this in the most sarcastic way possible, Evil Wall at Dwarf Castle 1, frankly, is awful. This is a super punchy spot. Thankfully, it's a little bit slow, but this is, without good defenses, an Evil Wall that would just ruin your day. Thankfully, our runners have found a lot of things like glass hats and good armor, and it's not going to look that bad here, but my heavens, the Evil Wall at this spot, oh, it is just brutal in the wrong set of circumstances.
We see a Cecil at the after destroying the Cagnazo spot, so that's a good thing. But do we have any burr for it for Cecil yet?
I haven't seen any burr for Cecil, but worst case scenario, cover strats are still a thing, and cover strats are a beautiful thing.
Yeah, when Cecil's in the back row, he just tanks. So one of the benefits of being in the back row is that your natural defense value doubles. And when you have the character with the highest armor availability, well, you pretty much tank pretty much anything and everything. And especially if you have adamant, but probably is not. I don't think it's available in the seed, but give him a crystal armor, he tank everything.
Yeah, crystal armor, and we see Hold the Phone, we have a bonus round on Y2 Sky's side. This is demist at the second Dwarf Castle spot, so that Evil Wall hiding a demist. So Dwarf is now a double check. As far as glitches that are on, no warp glitch, so only the 2 checks, not the 3. But this could be huge for Y2 Sky if this early Dwarf Castle play checks out for him. That's a lot of information and a lot of potential power, and kind of get up and go for the team. And it's definitely more valuable than the Protect Ring that was found in the Baron turn-in, or Baron reward.
I think I'm just here for the glowy arm. It's the coolest effect.
That's true. Ghost hand, best hand.
Oh, here we have a light sword for Cecil, so it's good enough. We could probably find better, but this is pretty solid for Cecil.
Yeah, and it came out of just a random chest in the Baron Inn Treasury, those 3 chests in the upper right-hand portion. Didn't really call it out because it wasn't relevant at that point, but it's fairly relevant now that Cecil showed up. And it looks like we have runners kind of in a bunch of different places right now. Y2 Sky and Dwarf Castle. Dave's going to give us some early music. And Commander Leonhardt and Warlink really kind of sticking side by side. They've been within a boss of each other for about the last 20 minutes. It's been quite exciting to watch the two of them just very close with each other. We'll see if they keep on the same path with both of them taking out or about to take out that Mylon and friends, which will give 3 of our 4 runners objective number 3 to go with everyone who has objective 5 of the Dark Imps already.
Yeah, I'm here for the music. I might not like getting to harp, but I love what we what we get out of harp, and I guess it's that traditional time where I think we're gonna take a little break from talk speaking and listen to our wonderful bard.
No, keep talking. Do it. It's your first time on comms. Do it. This is the time. Establish yourself as the villain. All right. Well, it looks like Kainatsu has decided to finally stop hiding inside the shell and let Dave move on with his life. Picks up a rat tail for his many trials and tribulations trying to get through that silly Kainatsu. No check on what the song was. We haven't gotten confirmation what it is, and I'm not going to lie, I have only heard it through playing the harp. Any ideas, Deathlight?
As a rookie mistake, I can't hear the music, so I don't have any sounds on. I'll probably play it back and hear it again. But yeah, I think I was paying more attention to the kind of struggle with Kinazo. At that spot, it's really difficult unless you have a Fu or any decent or Atala online. You would have not had any chance to. There's the Blarg.
Speaking of difficult, that's atop a tower, Blarg. It's only 2 rolls, but that's an oh hi. You don't have anchoring. Let me show you a bad time. I think what Y2 Sky needs to try to do here is get 2 people to RA3, I believe, in order to get a single star veil off, and he's most likely going to be able to do that with Kane as one of them, and I don't even know who else can get fast enough with a crystal ring to get there. This is going to be really rough to try to set this up, and he may just have to bounce, and that looks like what he's going to do. I think this is pretty heads up from Y2 Sky, kind of knowing that you could run yourself into this over and over and over again and never succeed. So I think this is definitely a smart decision to head on out.
Yeah, without a curse string, it's gonna be a troubling time. So I can see why you'd want to do that. Not it's not a pretty sight. If you can't manipulate your hero anchor's agility in this instance, it's not a good time.
And we see a Bahamut in the super cannon room, so this is just the Tower of Blarg tonight. Definitely something that I'll be happy to ask our runners about later, because I love the memes, and that's a fun one when we get the Tower of Blarg.
Yeah. I think Wyvern in vanilla in his spot. It's like, why? Why does it burn?
And it's very awkward at the top of the tower to have Wyvern in general, because it's a pile of HP, just a giant pile of HP, because Luge's split into 4 forms, and it's usually not that big a deal in the vanilla location. But now you have one giant pool of 20,000-ish health, a Wyvern that's actually quite fast, and that opening Mega Nuke takes no prisoners. So one of those things where our runners get, I will say, very much so mistreated in this particular seed. And I don't know, have we seen a cursed ring for anyone yet? I haven't seen one.
I don't think so. I mean, I think Wyvern in any spot is pretty scary. I think the best way to go about it is make sure your anchoring's in order, or if you have enough levels in HP, you should be able to do it. But I think skipping for now is the prudent choice. So can't fault them for it, and it could be worse. There are worse spots. So not the worst decision.
Yeah, I think this is one of those classic examples of discretion being the better part of valor, that Y2 Sky making what I would call the correct decision to just head on out and figure out literally anything else that he can do with his life, because that's just not going to be fun. Speaking of things that are fun, though, we have Commander Leonhardt, who has 5 characters, who has, I believe, a stack of 20 sirens. Are we going to get 20 sirens in a dream here, or are we just going to get a couple levels for this Cecil? I'm a little intrigued by this.
I think it depends. I mean, definitely want to get the Cecil reasonably online. At least if I were running this, I think getting Cecil some levels once you get them is definitely worth at least a small grind. After that, I don't know. It's hard. Kind of one of the. Depends on what he's up against. I mean, definitely I'm not sure if he's done the Dr. Luge spot check. So, but not knowing, this is not the worst thing. Instead of probably wasting your time at something that you bonk your head on, extra levels can't hurt in most instances.
Yeah, there are 2 ways to approach free enterprise. One of them is to spend the time early and to go ahead and grind and make sure that you just don't die, because you can overwhelm everything. And the other is to have like equipment or have strategy. I'm definitely a fan of just overwhelming the game with raw power and force from just doing all the the grinding in the world. I know for a lot of folks that kind of takes the fun out of it, but it's a speed run. The goal is to go fast, and there are times where just getting your levels with any characters can really accelerate a seed. And I will say, for this evil wall, which just did Engi Dave a little bit dirty, Commander Leonhardt is going to have a much better time with this evil wall than Engi Dave did.
Yeah. Any levels on Cecil will improve his cover ability, because he just tanks more damage. You don't have to worry about Sid, but you gotta worry about everyone else. And yeah, I can see that being a problem for NG Day, but compared to Commander Leonhardt. So kind of sometimes the timing of when you do those boss battles matter. Sometimes the order also matters in a run. Just people doing the same things but in different order can make a huge difference in how things go.
And yeah, speaking of huge differences, Leviathan is still a huge difference. Dave is the only one of our runners without it. And this is something that we had speculated on a little earlier, that, Dave got out to a quicker start than anyone else on Restream, but not having access to that Leviathan, which is 4,000 to 5,000 damage per use right now. Also not having the Tela from Hobbs as a source of Berserk. He's very much so trying to fight fair, and fighting fair is really rough in this game. You want to take every advantage you can, and a boss like Evil Wall, it is fighting unfair because it cheats the ATB system while you're trying to play a normal game. So it's a rough spot for Dave because of what he opted to loot versus not loot.
Yeah, choices of looting early. No, Castle Eblin is definitely a popular spot, barring the chances of running into the to the monsters. But I think is it the waterway, where you normally find vanilla Tela is always also a very popular spot to do some of that early looting. So yeah, I can. Sometimes it's where you check is just as important as what you don't check.
Yeah, it's Schrodinger's crystal sword. Every single thing that you check that isn't a crystal sword, you go, oh, it's not a crystal sword. But every box you don't check, you're like, oh, it's a crystal sword. And it's one of those things where you're just constantly like, what do we do? Now, speaking of what do, we do have two runners who have the Sand Ruby. Have we seen the character with the Sand Ruby?
Don't think so. Okay. I'm trying to keep up. There's just so much information on the screen.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of information for us, and it's even more information for Xenocat, our tracker, who is doing a phenomenal job keeping up with everything. Tracking 4-person races is really tough. So thank you, Xenocat, for doing this. Especially on night mode. Also, it's even harder to follow everything. So thank you, Xenocat, for doing the tracking here, and thank you also to Smapety for going through and rolling this beautiful night mode seed so far.
Really cool, and I think we're getting another Dark Elf entrance for more Spoony B. So should be some harp music created from I think Xenocat and Calamity. So it's, and I completely enjoy all the harp tunes. Believe you me, it's great. It feels right, especially in the randomizer.
Definitely good tunes, and I guess we'll let you enjoy this from Warlink, and then maybe even again from Y2 Sky. So enjoy, y'all. All right, and looks like, well, we got some Twin Harp from Warlink and Y2 Sky. Uh, Over on Commander Leonhardt's side, he got a dodge with Cecil, was able to live through the opening Mega Nuke from this Wyvern, and is starting to get some party members back up for his team. Perhaps by sheer good fortune, with Cecil having some dodge rolls here, may be able to be our first runner through this Wyvern. Definitely an interesting possibility here. We have Commander Leonhardt veiling people up. This means that he's intending to use a summon with Rydia and have Wyvern counter nuke itself. The problem with this is everyone is starting to get nuked back, and it's a little bit awkward. So I love the attempt here. This is just a rough spot to try to do it. Also, we have the Pinktail coming from D-Mist. Once our runners find a hook, that Pinktail does represent an adamant armor on this flag set, as they are on.
The Starveil Wyvern gamble with the summons is a little too. Just waiting for everyone to be Starveiled is takes too long. Just try to get him to force the Blarg and survive. Try to revive is the best you can do. So, you want all the DPS to be Wyvern's Blarg. That's what it wants to.
Yeah, and looks like he is going to get a Leviathan off here. That's going to be 5,800 damage plus reflects from 3 more people. That's going to be another 7,000. But Wyvern still not down. And Commander now only has 2 party members alive. So you were really hoping, if you're in Commander's shoes there, that Wyvern would have perished. As now he is left with just 1 character in Cecil, has a life bot queued up on Kane. But this is where things start to get really scary. Needs to get some folks back up. That remedy is going to help. That life potion, getting Rydia, getting Edward, getting Porum back up. Maybe he goes for the Starveil strats again. Looks like he's just going to say, nope, I need to get this fight over with. Let me get Leviathan out. One way or another, this fight is going to end. Was that exact damage on Cecil?
It was. Oh, it happened.
That is maddening. Commander is through. What a fight. Very well done.
As long as you beat him, it doesn't matter.
I hope he is rewarded for this handsomely.
Yes.
Well, I would say so. We have a spoon word, y'all. That's great.
Gotta love the spoon. Gotta give to the spoony bard that we all know and love.
I know that some of our runners have found a power shirt. If Commander Leonhardt has a power shirt, that spoon word with a power shirt becomes an absolute force to be reckoned with. Looks like Dave also, I believe, got a dodge roll with his Cecil. So 2 runners able to get dodge rolls with Cecil. So looks like Dave might be on a lower battle speed as well, because I'm seeing a couple more actions come up, or may just have better agility on some of his other characters compared to Rydia.
When you see a Wyvern, he needs to be running on Wyvern standard time. It's just, I think it's Wyvern's world, and we're just living in it.
Yeah, it looks like Dave says, I don't like this. I'm going to go play somewhere else. Or it may just be dropping battle speed all the way down to 6 now. Meanwhile, Y2 Sky has decided to go poke around in Luca Cave instead. Going to play ball there and see what awaits him in the Luca basement, if you will. I am personally hoping for the gauntlet because I hate the gauntlet here. It is my least favorite gauntlet. It's super annoying, and it just takes forever and then 3 more days. So, I'm not a nice commentator. I apologize for nothing.
I don't mind that in that spot, to be fair. I think most of them, just if you have edge, you just burn them quickly and call it a day. But I think in any spot having the gauntlet in most spots are inconvenient for most people. There are like in the earlier spots, some spots were kind of trivial, but when you see certain special monsters like any type of flan like tofu, slime, or whatever, those monsters will, especially given certain parties, will give them a rough time. So there are worse spots. So
yeah, definitely true, and it does look like Y2 Sky is rewarded with a pan. This is going to be a very, very fast karate. However, Cecil is just going to be able to wait for a second wave here, or a second kick, as it were, and then just go ahead and bop karate, and karate will perish, and that'll be the end of the fight. And there's the bop, and there's the ouch, and the fight is over, and Y2 Sky can carry on and see what awaits him from those pan checks, and see if he'll be happy or not with the result. And if nothing else, gets 23,000 more experience. Actually, 46,000, because he is at 10 key items now.
10 key items. It's definitely good for the grind. Love in the original vanilla script for Yang, for the karate specifically. He's supposed to punch, but I mean, there isn't anything that changes his punch. But there is a bug, kind of either intended or unintended bug, where it's supposed to hit Dark Knight Cecil for whatever strange reason. So, but seeing the Black Sword appear, which is what Dark Knight Cecil would be wielding, is kind of a strange and unwieldy sight. So it's probably right. Maybe it's okay. It doesn't show up in vanilla, but it's there. It just doesn't appear due to programming or coding that specific script.
Very interesting indeed. I was not aware of that. So thank you for that information. Like I said, y'all, Deathlike an absolute genius when it comes to all of the information trapped inside that wonderful mind. So make sure you check out Deathlike. Deathlike, are you on Twitch? I'm not certain. I know sure you have an account, but are you available for streaming at all?
I haven't. I mean, I like the idea of commentating because, you know, just have information. Love to spread information. It's always a good thing.
Fair enough.
But no, but maybe someday. Right now, just I don't have the knowledge or resources. So right now, I'm just not quite there yet. But maybe someday, soon. But maybe more commentary first, and we'll see.
Gotcha. I was trying to see if we could get some folks over to give you a follow. Regardless, I think it's a good time for everyone to get a follow anyway. We have Y2 Sky, Warlink, Engie Dave, and Commander Leonhardt again putting on a great show for y'all. They are going through and exacting Rydia's revenge, if you will, on the seed. We believe that progression is going to be through this pan in some way through the Luca Cave. To maybe find some more key items, but we could also just have all the bosses up on the moon, and it may be looking more and more like the moon and possibly the giant is the play. But while our runners are going through and doing that, also make sure that you give our Restream team some follows as well. Go ahead and check out Smapedy, go ahead and check out Xenocat, again, my fellow co-commentator, Deathlike. You know, give everybody a follow. Everyone deserves your love, as they are all responsible for putting on such a great show this evening.
It looks like everyone is doing some sort of grind now. I think, especially with Blarg in tow. So, could be a while to see something new though. Next. Oh, I see. I think we're doing the pan check now. Commander Leonhardt is gonna do the wonderful plink on the head of Yang, because you know he needs to wake up. Give us and let us get to Sheila too.
Yeah, the wonderful ding sound that pan makes when hitting someone who doesn't have a metal head. I'm not sure how that sound is made. All things considered, but just a ribbon. So I guess if you bonk somebody on the head, their ribbon falls off and you get it. Now, something you had mentioned before, Deathlike, you had talked about a dragon whip. We see Y2 Sky running around with said dragon whip and is absolutely dragon whipping these eggs into next week. Has decided, hey, we're going to go through, we're going to get our levels. This party seems good to me. I've got 2 Zerkers, I've got a black mage, I've got a white mage, I can do this. Warlink, meanwhile, gets a Rydia who just says, nah, I'm good. Wyvern, let's have a staring contest. Warlink reset, though. I don't know if maybe he intended to still take on that fight and just snap reset because Mega Nuke is scary, or if maybe he wanted to get another setup going and have a better chance with lower battle speed.
Looks like an agility check right now. It's just because, I mean, we have to, since Rydia is the hero, and she's the anchor, we are trying to, I think, going to try to figure out the agility situation, so. Doesn't look like it's quite enough. I'm not sure. I don't, like a lot of things, relative agility is it's like black magic. It's a complete mystery. I mean, there is math, and we'll not try to do math on stream, but yeah, math will make your life easy.
Here's the math I know for Wyvern. Have someone super slow as your anchor, or have everybody super fast and kill it before it kills you. That's all I need to know about math for Wyvern. Keep it simple.
Yeah. I mean, monsters in certain spots become much faster than you, and it's easier to have a slow anchor than to have a fast anchor. Typically, it's common in a lot of these races where ideally Edge would be the fastest guy to just make things happen, whether it's getting a Star Veil off or stealing all the things. So I think if there was an Edge, you'd probably be able to get out of it, but I don't think there's an Edge in the seed quite yet. if there is even an edge in the seed.
Yeah, I believe there is an edge in the seed because C maybe is not on, but that edge, for all we know, could be behind the giant. And at that point, it's pretty irrelevant. So it's one of those things where I think our runners are going to just be more than happy with the characters that are presented to them and just move forth with them. And we see that Y2 Sky has taken a lot of eggs at this point. I want to say he's one egg away from having Nuke on Rydia now, having picked up Fatal. I think that's level 49. So it should be one more egg here, get to Nuke, and I think that we're going to have Y2 Sky be our first runner who is air quotes Zeromus ready. I wonder if we're going to see Y2 Sky also just head up and try to blow up the moon with all of these newly acquired levels.
I think it's a good time to blow up the moon once you have a nuke available to you. As soon as it's the watermark or high mark of where you want to finish grinding. It's just, if anything. Although I think you could probably get away with not doing it, like if you try to gamble on just maybe one less D machine or one less egg, and try to hope that some of the bosses are free so you'll get there. Like especially at the ribbon spot with the D Lunars, the XP there is incredible, especially where it's key item dense from a bottom up perspective.
Yeah, that's certainly true. And chat, y'all have had 3 doses of music. You're gonna still get this 4th dose, but we're gonna play a little bit of villain and keep everybody updated while this 4th dose of music is going on. And we're gonna see if we can get away with this and pull a fast one on a restreamer and be able to talk over music. Mainly because we have moon checks going on and we have new information that we're gonna be getting, and we want to this a gauntlet.
I'd like to. Well, if it's a gauntlet, well, the Y2 Sky is wasted a little bit of time, but for others who haven't done their grind, it might be worthwhile. So it could. So that grind isn't negated per se, but it's just like it's another grind which you didn't really want. So sometimes your grind can be done at any time. It doesn't have to be eggs. It can be even the behemoths when encounters are turned on, which is a very simple grind, but also not the easiest because behemoths punch really hard.
Yeah, and one interesting thing about this particular set of encounters here, the behemoths thankfully don't show up in this gauntlet. They do show up though, kind of as a potential grind that you can do in Value Cave, but every single one of these fights you can use an hourglass on. And in the Lunar shop, we had seen that hourglasses were for sale. So this is just ready-made for our runners. 5 hourglasses, 5 fights, and you have a free gauntlet, a free grind, especially on 10 key items. That is going to be the majority of what you need to complete everything in this. So I don't know that any of our runners actually purchased hourglasses, but I know at least a couple of them have seen them.
Yeah, hourglasses are super awesome. You have to consider the only real downside is if the monsters of the boss bit, but since it's the alt gauntlet, they don't. Except for, I think the Ogo spot is the only spot where you can't use them. But for the most part, if you can use it pretty much in any alt gauntlet, and it'll be in tough alt gauntlet, and it'll be worth your time.
Yeah, the only 2 you can't use it on, or in some of the fights, the alt gauntlet and Ogo Pogo, you just can't use it on anything there. And then the alt gauntlet at the Crystal Sword altar, because it has the blue dragons. That's the only other one where the hourglasses are not going to function. Every other single gauntlet, though, every enemy can be hourglassed. So as soon as you see those, to me anyway, in a flag set like this, I am snapping those up really fast because that gauntlet could be anywhere rude, and I want to be able to just say, no, you stop. I would like time to figure out how to deal with you.
Yeah, I think having the stop spell is a good alternative if you can't afford it. It's pretty low level for Rydia and Palom, so it's not as potent, but if you just need the effect, it's still pretty solid for if you need it in a kind of a emergency need type of deal. So
definitely true. And so far we have seen 2 runners bounce off Ogopogo, if I'm not mistaken, in the basement, but they did not have a spoon word or anywhere near the berserking firepower that Commander Leonhardt does. Opting also to just direct cast Stealth, going to be healing everyone for about 300 damage, and they're going to take somewhere between 100 and 200 in return from the Blaze. So actually netting positive health using a summon against Ogopogo. Very heads up by Commander Leonhardt to do that, highlighting some very good understanding of the game and how it works there. So very nicely done.
Yeah, it is. But that followed with a Kane that didn't quite have enough HP to survive that. It's kind of, I think, though, in the same sense, it can be risky to use Scythe, though, at the same breath. It depends on how much HP you actually have, and HP usually comes with levels, so sometimes, in Ogo's case, sometimes higher levels isn't always better, unless you have the healing that complements it. So like a Cure 3 or Cure 4 is really instrumental.
Yeah, that definitely would be instrumental to have Cure 3 or 4 if it was needed, because Commander Leonhardt, with the power of Sylph and a little bit of curing from Porum, was able to just smash through that Ogopogo and is rewarded with an Earth Crystal. That is 2 more boss checks, that is 2 more character checks. We could see something like a Fusoya, we could see an Edge, lots of different options that could show up there. Commander Leonhardt has gotten through Wyvern and has gotten through Ogopogo, has gotten through a lot of the really hard bosses, showing off some great skill in doing so. A little bit behind as far as natural progression is concerned, but having no troubles and being rewarded with things like a spoon and now the Earth Crystal for the treasury. I know it's T-Wild and it's not the best treasury, but it's still something that is worth fighting for.
I think the treasury at this point might not be worthwhile, but everyone has their thing with the treasury. I think it depends on when you're at the seed. I think we're kind of midway, if not near the end, and probably doesn't seem like a sexy option. Just could, but you never know. It's always a good place to get something worthwhile, but not all treasuries are the same. So we'll see if that plays out.
Yeah, the only reason I would consider it is just because it's still 18 chests that are just so dense, densely packed. I know that max tier 6 is on, so you can't possibly get like a Crystal Sword, an Avenger, extra adamant armors, or anything like that. So it's a little bit nerfed, but I still like the prospects of finding a lot of stuff in a very densely located area, and it looks like Commander Leonhardt does as well. So going to take a peek at this treasury, and we're going to get to see what we rate.
That treasury!
So far, I'm seeing Kamikaze out of 10.
This reeks of White Spear out of 10. That's about it.
That is a treasury out of 10. T-Wild out of 10. Yeah.
it's a gamble in this, and I guess Kane gets a slightly better weapon. That's something.
That's a treasury that existed. I don't think that was exactly what our runners would want to see. But yeah, shout outs to Commander Leonhardt for giving us fancy tunes for raiding the treasury, and for probably being sad a little bit also, because that was in fact a treasury.
Well, it could be worse. There might not have been a white spear.
True. Speaking of, it could be worse. It could be whatever is happening. This warlock is just being super rude to Warlink over here during this gauntlet. I think Dave is about to be through his gauntlet. I think Y2 Sky is maybe one fight behind, and Warlink got picked up hard a little bit by those warlocks. That was pretty rude. Does have the hourglasses though, and our runners get the package. So objective number 2 is on the board now for Dave. He is our first runner to complete objective number 2, but going to maybe give us a spicy package check, or are we going to get a full moon check? What would you opt to do here, Deathlike? What would your routing be at this point?
I would avoid the package check just as just in principle. Not well, unless lash locationing is a thing, and I love the randomization for what comes out of the package, but the whole sequence is just it's time consuming. That it's like I'd like some of my time back, unless I really have to. This is one of the checks I would probably last location. It's like, what? No, we'll do something else.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. Wanting to do something else, to get away from everything that is potentially a really slow and long check. And that is exactly what package is. It's a slow and long check. So I think that our runners are probably going to agree with that. I know I agree with it as well. I would just be face checking the moon and then the giant at this point, and just kind of go from there. And it'll be interesting to see whereabouts our value lies.
I think the giant check is a bold check, but if you're like Y2 Sky, it's just another 2 boss checks, which is what we need to do anyway. So it rather have the 2 checks rather than the 1. And we don't care about the character at this point, unless it's like a foo.
And speaking of a foo, the Tower of Zot has one, as well as an edge. Quite the strong Tower of Zot today. Looks like we are going to debate trying to get rid of Rydia, which you can't do.
It's funny.
But it looks like we are going to say no to Kane, so gets a white spear from the treasury and says, you're still Kane, I'll take a foo. Meanwhile, Dave has found Mylon Z, and Mylon Z has found the nearest deep ravine and is currently residing in it, as Mylon Z is dispatched very quickly by Dave.
I agree with Commander Leonhardt's removal of Kane. Kane, it's up to a point, is like half a Cecil in terms of offense, and at that point, I can understand, like, even Porum, as much as people love and hate her, she can contribute with holy play. It's still something, and I think in Commander Leonhardt's case, he has a spoon, so there's no reason to yeet the bard in this instance. So I think that's for him. It makes sense. There will be a character where they are capped offensively at some point, and you're just gonna have to either offensively or doesn't provide something that someone else does. Like, normally you'd think of beating the Porum, but it's not. but the Kane is more of is Kane won't isn't quite that character even if you had the Avenger and whatever best sword he has access to. So it doesn't matter at that point.
Yeah, one of the things about Kane is he is balanced so that the jump command makes him as strong as he would be in the vanilla game. But in the randomizer, he's, you want to berserk. You want to do things that help your team in a more meaningful way than jump, which is just a slow ability. And you end up in a situation where Kane becomes, as I refer to him, patently average. He's very much so middling in almost everything he does outside of the very early game. So I also would agree with the assessment that I think Kane is the right option there to just get rid of and carry on. We do know now that our runners are only one objective away from go mode, from us being in no mode, and that is finding, I believe, the water hag, which has been eluding our runners. So if the water hag is up here on the moon, our runners are going to have a very quick go mode here, and maybe just run down and take out the big bad final boss. And how about the ribbon room water hag? So we have Mylon Z at the Pale Dim spot, water hag at ribbon room, Fabul Gauntlet at Cave Bahamut. May I introduce you to the moon, everybody?
This moon is free moon. This at least is the free moon.
Well, with hourglasses available, the gauntlet is free. With a light sword in any levels, the Murasame altar is free, and water hag is, air quotes free. But with the levels that you get from the first two, you almost certainly have enough health to get through everything here. So pretty much free objectives, very nicely laid out by our restreamer Snape D to set our runners up for success. And that does put Dave in go mode, our first runner on stream to have all 5 objectives completed. And I say our first runner on stream to have all 5 objectives completed. I didn't want to spoil anything too soon, but we did have a first place finisher already in the race. So our runners on stream are battling for second. We had Rybon finish in first place at a time of 1 hour and 9 minutes. So 11 minutes ago already that Rybon finished this thing. Absolutely blazing fast through this seed. I believe that gives Rybon 3 of the last 4 community races that he has come out victorious on. So absolutely stomping through community races lately. So GG's to Rybon. And we'll see if Dave can take second and be our first restreamed runner to finish with Y2 Skyhawk on his tail.
Yeah, GG's there. I think I saw Rydia on NGD Scream at just 1 level before Nuke. I thought just to take a fight, just to get Rydia over that hump, because that's major damage. That's off the table, and I don't think even though we don't want to use summons here, but he doesn't have Leviathan, so I'm not sure what strats he's gonna take at this point. Maybe 1200 strats. I don't know what his setup is for the Z fight. But I think it's that time where we ask that wonderful question, because it's free enterprise and we like randomized bosses. But Zeromus is one of those guys you just can't move anywhere and everywhere because, he's Zeromus. He's a big guy. But that's the question, those Z flags that everyone knows and loves. And the question always is, but are we going to kick tonight?
And is it cute? And does it have a butt? And how is butt? No one ever asks how is butt. They always just want to kick it. But looks like we're going to get some Zerker strats, I think, over here from Dave's side. 3,000 HP Kane, 3,000 HP Cecil, 4,000 HP Sid. I think Rydia is a bit of an afterthought here, and it's just going to be Zerk City and kind of go from there. So I don't think Rydia really factors into his Zeromus plans.
Yes, potion user is her current designation.
Yes.
Not even in Azura.
It is Hookamus, a good old Captain Hook.
That was a great SNES game. It was I'm not sure it was the same sprite. So it's, Hook. That brings back memories.
Yeah, now I am a little concerned because that was a very fast shake. I'm hoping this elixir gets off on Kane, because otherwise this could be a bad day. I guess he's going to live through this Big Bang no matter what, but the Zerks are not really queued up as fast, and I do wonder what Rydia's agility is. Because Rydia at this stage, unless she has like a crystal ring on, is probably at like 23, 24 agility, and that's a little bit of a rough spot. So I'm hoping that these Zerks can get up and get everything buffered, because Y2 Sky is, like we said, hot on Dave's trail here, and Warlink also making his way down the lunar subterranean is just likely 2 boss spots away from checking on what is that water hag in the ribbon room. Commander Leonhardt has taken the scenic route through this seed, no fault of his own, because he has gotten through some really difficult fights. Ogopogo in the basement and Wyvern at the top of tower. It's led him to do things like the Earth Crystal and now be able to turn in the Pinktail for an adamant armor. Lots of wonderful play for Commander Leonhardt. It just happens every boss of relevancy was on the moon, and he has stayed on Earth. So, wonderful play from all of our runners. Just not the play necessarily on Commander Leonhardt's side that he would have wanted. And there is Rat Tail for Forge, so I think that puts Commander Leonhardt at 17 out of 17, or very close to it.
Yeah, that's well, I mean, if anything, if he gives us what the result of Forge, that would be off. Oh no, it's only one thing. It's Rydia, so it's just the mystery, which is a nice weapon. But she already has the Stardust, so it's not gonna that's not gonna be a life-changing thing. So yeah, looks like I think NG Dave I think his battle's gonna get out of control pretty quickly. Specialist form down.
I think he'll be able to salvage this, because I believe a black hole is coming next, which will give him time to recover. The only issue is he's going to need to get a cure in there as well. And maybe he got a tip. I wonder if he damaged tip, which is going to let him heal up without having to reserve. That would be huge. I think that's what happened. So a little bit of good fortune there for Dave, being able to salvage this. Doesn't have the Bacchus wines, though, that Y2 Sky does. So Y2 Sky just going to be flying through this Z fight. I think this is going to be very close between the two. Even as, far ahead as Dave was getting into the fight, Y2 Sky's fight is going to be so much cleaner. Much better damage output, has the nuke on Rydia. In fact, has almost 2,200 health on Rydia, which, oh, by the way, is a lot.
Yeah, well, Rydia having a lot of HP is just a rare thing, so you can't go wrong with more HP. And Rydia naturally gains a lot of magic evasion through gaining both Wisdom and Will, which contribute significantly to the magic evasion stat. Agility also being a part of it, but not as significant since she doesn't gain so much agility. So most of her magic evasion comes from just having really good Wisdom and Will, and that helps a lot, especially in an easy fight. Having good magic evasion multipliers makes your Zeromus fight much livable. especially in conjunction with some good armor that provides the magic evasion percentage, which is what we also care about.
Yeah, definitely true to all points there. And I do want to just make a note here that Pyre has finished in second place with a time of 1:24.10. Microcorg's in third place at 1:26.21. So the podium spots are now taken. So our restreamed runners will finish at best fourth, which is still very good for a community race. But looks like we have Y2 Sky and Engie Dave coming down to the wire here. They're both going to be, kind of neck and neck. Again, Y2 Sky has made up a lot of time here. Looks like he is in a better situation, but there's rocks on Dave's side. Are we going to get dueling rocks from our runners? Are we going to get a skip right through from Y2 Sky? Let's see. One more hit from Dave Cecil. I believe that is the crack, the flash, the boom. And Zeromus is down on Dave's side, and he is going to finish in fourth place with a time of 1:28.10. GG's to Dave.
GG's to Dave.
And we will see if we can get Dave in for an interview. Ask him how he felt about this seed and what he thinks went right, what he thinks may have gone wrong, and kind of get a feel for it. And in the meantime, we have a big Cure 4 coming out from Y2 Sky, some of which went on Zeromus. While Warlink is going through, I believe, getting a couple more levels to get ready for his Z fight, and Commander Leonhard taking the Earth route, peeking every boss, trying to see what he needs to complete the seed. And I think finding out the bad news that everything is going to be on the moon at this point.
Didn't Leonhard get offered another food? That was kind of. I think that was the character in that spot, which is it might have been thought to replace Porum there, because at least you'd have the full spell list, even if the MP was limited. But you already have another food, but. Might have been a thought to replace the Porum there, but that's
it looks like while Fusoya or Tusoya was trying to happen on Commander Leonhard's side, Y2 Sky did finish, takes fifth place overall, and that was with a time officially of 1:29.21. So we do get fourth and fifth on Restream, while we see Commander Leonhard going through and turning in the Forge, and he is going to get his Mist Whip. We will also see if we can get Y2 Sky in for an interview, but I believe we are now joined by our first place finisher on Restream, fourth place overall, Engie Dave. GG's to you. I think we might also be joined by Y2 Sky, so we can get a little combo interview if y'all are down for that.
Thank you, Pops Morpheus. GG's to everyone.
Yeah, GG, NG. Looks like we're pretty close on the restream crew here.
Yeah, GG's White Sky. We're about a minute apart, it looks like.
Yeah, y'all were doing a great job staying close and keeping it exciting. Dave, you built up a little bit of a lead early, which Y2 Sky you overtook, largely in part due to Leviathan. One of the major perks of the early game in looting that Damsian treasury was the Leviathan orb that was found. Dave, I'll ask you first. How much do you wish you would have had a Leviathan?
It would have made things a lot easier. I decided to stop looting after finding the Rune Axe power shirt. That basically meant Sid's going to clear everything in the overworld.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And Y2 Sky, how much did you enjoy having that Leviathan to really help with the overworld and even into the later game?
It was definitely really nice. Yeah, pretty solid all the way around. I know that was one of the big talking points going into ZZ4 was, you've got a Rydia start. Just loot around or check shops if you have a shop open. This one doesn't, but Leviathan's a little bit easier to find than it used to be, so always looking for that.
Yeah, definitely true. I noticed, and we kind of noticed in the booth, a lot of grounded play from all of the runners on Restream tonight, focusing a lot on checks on the Earth. You know, things like the tower, things like Baron. Was there ever an inkling for y'all to head straight to the moon, or was that a little bit too much of a gambly feeling? That there's no way there could be 3 bosses up on the moon. That would be silly.
I mean, the idea for me was I wanted to make one trip to the moon and be done with it. The idea was hopefully I could clear and then go straight down to Z from after getting boss up there. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't leaving a boss behind on Earth first.
Yeah, I think Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Y2 Sky.
I think for me it was more, and I've noticed this the last 2 or 3 runs I've done. I think the season off has kind of made me very tentative to dive the harder stuff early. So having found Sirens, I'm basically looking for 10 key items to do my grind before going up to the moon. Which with the boss lineup that we have for the objectives doesn't make a ton of sense now that I look back on it. But that was kind of the line of thinking was go for that 10 key items.
I agree, White Sky. I actually was thinking the same thing. That's why I walked the pan out of Seal Cave. That was number 10.
Yeah, same for me. Although I feel like that may have been more because I had to nope out of the wyvern at the top of the tower. I didn't know if that was anything or not.
Yeah, I did the same. Just wasn't going to play life roulette there. I had access to almost every boss spot already. Wasn't worth the time.
Yeah, we can tell y'all that one runner got through both Baron Basement and the top of tower. Baron Basement being Ogopogo, top of tower being Wyvern. Baron Basement gave the Earth Crystal, which led to, more or less nothing, because it was a hook, which I think led to a pink tail or something. It didn't ultimately matter. And the Wyvern held the spoon, so you could have had Spoonward, but it didn't do you any favors, because if you got through that, you could then get through Ogo, and you go on this wild goose chase to Never Never Land. And yeah, that Never Never Land trip is going to take you a lot longer to get through Hookamus. So
yeah,
y'all ended up in the right route for this seed.
That's a good feeling always. Getting 10 key items seemed nice going up to the moon, especially finding the Elk Gauntlet where it was.
Yeah, so as far as that Elk Gauntlet is concerned, did y'all like having the hourglasses available for sale in the Lunar Shop to help deal with that Elk Gauntlet right away?
I mean, it would have been nice if I had bought them. And if Rydia hadn't gotten bopped immediately after I queued up the hourglass.
Well, if it were all perfect, it'd be too easy, right? Got to be some challenge in there.
Although, I gotta say, I don't know what Porum did to board AI before this seed, but it was gunning for her.
And nothing of value was lost. So, anyway, as far as the flag set as a whole is concerned, what did y'all like about it? What was your favorite part? Dave, we'll start with you on that.
Oh, favorite part? I'm always a fan of Sea Hero, so more Sea Hero is good. Interesting set of bosses we had to hunt down. Just the find a robe crew. I think for me it would be Sea Hero being on, the Spoon Flag being on is always fun. Got to take advantage of that the first week, or on the Monday race at least.
Definitely. And Y2 Sky, what was your favorite part of the flag set that we've gotten to run both Monday and Friday now?
Well, it's got to be the theming. The whole Crystalvania theme is just fantastic. You know, I played some Simon's Quest back in the day, so I really appreciated the theme. That and just the all boss hunt really makes you think about the overall seed differently. I'm definitely used to playing quest objective flag sets coming from ZZ3 into Livelihood League. So, having to go all boss hunts is a very different. It's kind of mixing things up, and that's been a fun thing to kind of figure out.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. And Deathlike, do you have any questions? I know I've kind of hogged the mic here in the interview. I apologize for that. Do you have any questions for Dave or Y2 Sky?
I think the only question I have is for NG Dave. So I saw your Rydia was at level 49, and you didn't try to get the extra level for Nuke, make your life a little easier. But I guess the question is, was it you just wanted to gotta go fast? Or did you not notice that?
That's pretty much exactly what it was. I knew I had the power to take Z. I wasn't sure if getting Nuke was going to be, if taking a grind fight was, getting Nuke was going to offset the time of a grind fight.
Fair enough. I think, for me, I would probably want to do the quick extra grind just for safety. Like Nuke is time saving, even if there's just a one fight small grind to do. But yeah, I can see that. Potion duty is not the worst duty.
Well, she was supposed to be on nerf duty too, but I fired that virus off a smidge too early.
Yeah, that timing for that invincibility for Zeromus is a little tricky for sometimes. It's just got to get used to it. May want to do something ahead of it or something. I don't know.
No, it was the second Big Bang that he.
Cast. That's.
Yeah, always tricky on C Hero, especially with a hero like Rydia, because her agility is naturally very wonky in the high 40s, early 50s. It's in the low to mid 20s, and that's a really bad place to be, and it makes nerfing very difficult. So it happens. But Dave, we'll let you go first on this one. Any final thoughts on today's race or today's seed? We'll, let y'all enjoy the rest of your Friday evening.
Oh, this was a fun one overall. Little hiccup there on the evil wall. Just one more thought. I know you guys probably saw me get confused a little bit. Is because I forgot I had a siren in my starting inventory.
Yeah, it happens. We all do things that we're like, oh, that was silly. Trust me, it happens every time I race. So do not worry one bit about that, friend. And Y2 Sky, any final thoughts from you on the flag set or the race as a whole? We can let y'all both go enjoy your nights.
Just looking forward to see what the team cooks up for next week.
Well, thank you to both of you. Again, folks, our 4th and 5th place finisher, Engie Dave and Y2 Sky. If y'all have any final thoughts, feel free to chip in right now. Otherwise, we will let y'all have a fantastic rest of your Friday evening.
I'm good, Possum, and thanks a lot. It's been fun.
Thank you for restreaming us.
Thank you for streaming, because there's no entertainment without you guys showing us what possibly could have happened in any seed.
Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you again, Dave and Y2 Sky. Again, folks, our 4th and 5th place finishers, respectively. 1st and 2nd on Restream, 4th and 5th overall. And yeah, thank you again to both of y'all. Have a great rest of your evening and a great weekend. And we do see that we have Warlink, who has made his way into the Zeromus fight. While we were doing the interview, we did have a couple other finishers. Harumph finishing in 6th place, Jabrun TR in 7th, Tybalt in 8th, and Poydrak in 9th. So Warlink going to be fighting for that 10th place spot right now. And Commander Leonhardt has found, I believe, everything that he needs to get to go mode. I think he's found all his other bosses. I think he's fighting the Alt Gauntlet now. so should be on his way to Zeromus soon. Also, likely going to use the pass, as I think he is in Cave Bahamut now, as opposed to the bottom of the moon. But looks like all runners will be finishing up shortly, and kudos to them for doing so. But looks like Warlink in Z right now.
Yeah, Warlink is using some reflect strat. I think to a minimal degree. It's hybrid with some reflect strat, which is good. The extra damage from reflect strats are really nice. Especially the best part is not triggering any counter, which is great for, well, living, but also, just not having to worry about the trigger if he maybe might, you can occasionally trigger the death scene without him with reflex strats, which is one of the reasons to do it in the first place.
Yeah, it's always fun to get like a swag refill skip as well, where you deal Zerk damage to like 43,000 and hit 2 high roll, white nukes or nuke and nuke, and you end up just capping at 61k perfectly, and you get that magical hybrid refill skip. Not going to be happening here because our runners just don't have the gear or the levels for it, but still going to be pushing huge damage as complementary to the Zerkers that are going. The nice thing about having the Zerkers going is that it makes your reflex strats doable at battle speed 1 as well. So you can just be pumping out huge amounts of damage and really not even having to worry in this case about nerfing either on Warlink's side. Just going to town with the big damage coming out here.
Light chance that Tella might live this time around. He's not gonna trigger the spell change, but we'll see if he could just go straight. Oh, there it is. Straight to Rex.
Yeah, if this white fires, this is over and Tella lives. It might just be over anyway with these swings. I think that actually did it there. Kane takes down Hookamus. Warlink coming in 10th place, 3rd on Restream, and we will see if we can get Warlink in for an interview as well. GG's to Warlink.
GG's to Warlink. Love it when you don't have to worry about Tella. Cute. Sometimes people like to give him extra berserk so he can contribute, but it's okay.
Air quotes, contribute. I mean, sometimes Tella's best attribute is slapping on a Lilith Rod and making him buffer the Q while he can't actually hit Zeromus from the back row anyway. And then you can do reflex strats, because Tella can never hit anything and buffer is perfectly for you. Sometimes that is Tella's best use. Rare and almost never seen, but always a possibility. Also, shoutouts to this Edward on Commander Leonhardt's side, approaching 2,000 HP. That is wild. But that dinging in my ear indicates we are joined by our 3rd finisher on Restream, Warlink, who also finished 10th overall. GG's to you, Warlink.
The one time I decided, hey, let's just go to the moon and just grind with 8 key items, paid off for once.
Yeah, the moon was objectively the play this seed. The longer you were on Earth, the more you were bleeding time. So very heads up and huge kudos to you just going to the moon when you could, because everything was there.
Yeah, after trying to do Wyvern twice atop a tower, and at that point, I was like, okay, I have sirens. There are hourglasses up in the Lunar shop. Let's do some Go Dragon, Rio Dragons on the moon just to get everyone up snuff. When I get to Cave Island, oh, Blue Robe. Okay, let's do a little bit of grind. Let's do that. Oh, it's Gauntlet, and three battles in. I was like, well, I might wipe. Wait, these don't have the boss bit. Hourglass, self everyone just stay alive and get through it with it. And I got lucky with the next 2 checks, and it's like, well, I'm back to Go Dragon grinds again.
Yeah, and it was definitely the play to, get those hourglasses, do that grinding. As far as that Wyvern is concerned, I do want to let you know that the Wyvern versus runner count was something like 5-1. Wyvern absolutely decimated everybody. Commander Leonhardt was the only one on Restream to get through it. He did get a spoon to for his troubles, but in no way did it determine the outcome of the seed. In fact, it probably negatively impacted how he was able to route because of things he was able to do otherwise by staying on Earth, whereas everyone else, yourself included, went Moon, and that's where all the value was. So it ultimately was a boon for you that you bounced off that Wyvern, as well as our other runners on Restream, since it was not in any way required.
Yeah, and back in my mind, it's like, okay, there's Leviathan and Dolls at the Fey March. I could try attempt to do those. It's like, you know what, since this is just a boss hunt objectives, let's just go through and just go hit the boss spots to see what's up there. And like I said earlier, Sirens and Hourglass, go dragon grind, and that's that.
Yeah, and you had a very smooth Zeromus fight as well. You were doing beautiful hybrid strats with just huge damage output. If I'm not mistaken, you never even saw a second Big Bang.
No, I saw the second shake, but it just went straight to rock. So I didn't get the combo ladder for this fight.
Yeah, it was a heck of a Z fight. You absolutely mauled Zeromus. Much more efficient than the other runners that we saw get there a little earlier with some lesser levels. You did not have any issues whatsoever, just tore through it. So heck of a Z fight there, and great run overall. What were your thoughts overall kind of on the flag set, the seed? Anything you really liked or didn't like? What's your kind of thought on it as a whole?
I'm kind of disappointed that Magma Key wasn't outlined, so we got all the shops there. So that's like the whole purpose of this wacky flag is, okay, you only have one shop available to you, and your looted kit is like all the potions and life potions you have, cure and life potions in your kits. That's it for the whole seed, and just pray that you get something out of the treasure chest, which is all T. While it's like you go a little bit loot goblin, but the thing is, once you hit the inventory boss, there's only one place to go to like sell them to convert it back to money. So I'm really disappointed that Magma Key is that early. It's like, I just wanted to see everyone. I want everyone to suffer through this excellent wacky flag that.
Yeah, night mode really didn't rear its ugly head at all. The funny part was the one shop available on the overworld actually had life potions in it as well, which is just wild to me because you just wouldn't think that would happen with it being the Troya pub. The life potions are just sitting there and no punish at all for the flag being on.
Yeah, and that's why I went more aggressive on the Go Dragon grinds, because if I ran out of life potions, I just swing back there and pick up some more, so I don't have to conserve it much. Like the race on Monday or the practice race I had this afternoon is just basically I basically have to ration my items because this is S standard and we're not guaranteed. This feels like S standard unsafe with the wacky flag on. So it's basically I'm rushing my stuff, just making sure I can get through it without not getting any roadblocks down the line, which I'm just glad that Wyvern wasn't required. That's the big one that came up to me. It's like, if this is required,
if that Wyvern were required, the times would not be what they are, flat out. the times for this one would be approaching or over 2 hours. It would have been a long one for sure. So yeah, everybody lucked out on that one, I would say, from a racer perspective. Viewership perspective, yeah, of course we wanted Wyvern to be required because we're rude like that, because we're not racing. But in a runner perspective, yeah, I'm glad for y'all that Wyvern wasn't required, because that would have been a pretty nasty little fight.
Yeah, and I just did a little meta game when I got out of the all going to the go back to Blue Planet, back to the moon, because I forgot being a little bit frazzled with that, and saw Rydia finish first. And I'm thinking, okay, the other two bosses must be on Earth, or else he didn't have that much, or he just basically got Rydia this whole seed to get that little hour 2. So that's why I was swinging back to the moon, just hit the boss checks in, well, the first two I checked was, oh, Mylan Z, good. Oh, Warheg, now what?
Yeah, definitely makes sense on all points there. That the metagame is very interesting when you see finishers come in. It's always intriguing to see how folks handle that. But Deathlike, do you have any questions for Warlink before we let him enjoy the rest of his evening?
I don't have any, but I don't. But I guess as a question, would you like to have known what you would have gotten if you had the treasury? I mean, you talked about the inventory boss. Well, do you want to know what was in the treasury?
This being T-Wild, not really, but if you want to spoil me, go right ahead. I'm going to rewatch this VOD, but go ahead and tell me what's the goods in there.
White Spear over 10. That is it. You didn't miss much.
Yeah, I got 2 Ogre Axes from the Mech Giants from the All Gauntlet, so the White Spear, whatever. So I'm not losing sleep over that.
Yeah, it was a definite sad trombone music moment with that treasury. So you dodged another bullet there, not having to worry about it for sure. But Warlink, again, GG's. I know that you have made huge strides as a runner recently. I know you've been grinding a lot of ladder as well. So huge GG's to you again. Always love seeing the improvement. Always love seeing folks getting better and enjoying the game. Any final thoughts from you before we let you enjoy the rest of your Friday night or what might be approaching your Saturday morning?
Well, basically doing SMS ladders, just basically me just getting the whole straight, racing mindset and all that stuff, and doing the Pink Puff League stuff just to get out of the SMS ladder mindset of that stuff. Just do something completely different flags and all that stuff. See the week stuff is also help that, and also because Sea Hero is one of those flags that I know that it's going to be popular for tournaments, so I'm doing that Baron during stuff just to force myself to go through each character's quirks for each Julie engineering and all that stuff. So I've been improving ever since the very first restream on a race, which I was literally the last person finished and ready over. So it's been a great improvement, all that stuff. So with that, Possum and Deathlight, thank you for the commentaries. Xenocat, thanks for pushing all the buttons, 11 for me, plus the objectives. And Safety, thanks for rolling this seed. Can you just hide Magma Key a little bit further so we can enjoy night mode? Because wacky flags are fun. Please play them. They're not dumb or anything. They're quite fun and silly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again, Warlink, for letting us have you restreamed and be able to watch you run this fantastic race. And again, one last time, have a great evening, and thank you again. GG's.
Thanks, everyone out there. Have a nice evening.
GG Warlink. And looks like Commander Leonhardt finished in Quint to finish his seed. That
Yes.
was something.
Ever the man of the people, Commander Leonhardt. And we will shortly have Commander join us. And that dinging in my ear tells me that shortly is now Commander Leonhardt. Prompt as always. GG's, Commander Leonhardt. Congrats on the 17 out of 17. And if you are talking, we cannot hear you. Or at least I can't. Oh, and we have lost Commander Leonhardt. Let's see if we can get him back. And we are rejoined by Commander Leonhardt. And we cannot hear Commander Leonhardt. This is fun, folks. This is Free Enterprise After Hours. We're exploring tech issues. Oh, I hear noise.
Take 3.
There we go. Third time's a charm.
Okay, third time's a charm. Great.
GG's,
Hey,
Commander Leonhardt.
Thank you. K-Moon's off. I should make sure I open up everything on Earth before I go poking around in a moon that can only possibly give me bosses and has no chance of both giving me a boss and an item to further open things. That seems good.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, you gave us the full experience, a breath of fresh air. Everyone always wanting to finish these seeds with like 6 key items, and you gave us all 17. And that has to be commended.
Thank you.
I'm trying to spin this positively for you.
I appreciate it.
I will say, though, you had some really excellent fights throughout this. You were the only runner that made it through Wyvern. You were the only runner that made it through Ogopogo. You showed off a lot of prowess and some really good technical play. You just ended up in a situation where literally every bit of value was on the moon, and everyone said, heck, these bosses, I'm going up there, where you were like, oh, I can do this. And it's just one of those situations where doing this led to another thing that you could do that someone else couldn't, and you just got put down this rabbit hole of doom all over the place. And it just didn't work out. In another universe, though, man, you would have killed this seed. You would have been easily top 3. Just it wasn't there tonight for you.
Thank you. Yeah, the Ogo one was not as scary with as long as it took me to get to it. The Wyvern, I kind of blinked in surprise when Cecil survived the Mega Nuke and went, oh right, the magic here is that bad. All right, let's dance.
Yeah, the
out of it, so I'm not cranky.
The reflex strats with Rydia there were very well executed. We were a little curious if you were going to be able to pull it off because it was very dependent on some 50-50s for life potions, where things were queued up and it was like, oh, you really need to, okay, you got through it. Oh, you really need to not have this person get hit. Okay, they got through it. Like, it was pretty touch and go, but you got through it. And I think that was a really well executed fight. Maybe got a little lucky, but you had the right concept and idea. And, you know, it never hurts to get a little lucky on a 50-50 here or there.
Yeah, I'll take the little luck because, you know, as you're rightly pointing out, like, it's pure reaction at that point. You see Cecil survive the Mega Nuke, and you go, okay, life potion, life potion, life potion, life potion, get ahead of the curve, okay, get a Zerker, start putting some damage in. Okay, let's see about some Star Veils. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, this wasn't enough, but you know what? I bet you the next one does the job, and, yep, okay. But yeah, it was a thing, to be sure. The Ogo, not so bad. It wasn't as bad, I thought. I knew that I had a few people running around with low enough hit points that Sylph was going to get back most of the blaze, and it did what I wanted and just kept chucking the damage away. But, you know, as you pointed out, then there was that Earth Crystal, which, you know, at least Smapety didn't have Rate That Treasury queued up in vain.
Yeah, let's talk about that treasury real quick, because we all saw it, and you saw it, and there were 18 boxes that existed. What's your thoughts on those 18 boxes?
Crystal Shield is better than Fire Shield. I mean, in a different world where there's no foo sitting there, maybe that White Spear is better for me. But, you know, it's like, is what it is.
Yeah, the one thing of value you got, you basically immediately just said, when you got that foo. And yeah,
what are you going to do?
It feels bad, man. But we appreciate you, you know, giving us the Job Dwarf check, giving us the treasury, giving us Twin Harp, giving us everything in the seed. And honestly, playing a really well-run race. It's just rando gonna rando, and it got you tonight.
Yeah, and when you do that much and you're that overpowered at the end, you should quint.
Yes.
I had a lot of fun with it, definitely.
What's your thoughts overall on the flag set? How did you like it? You know, did you like it? What was your favorite part, least favorite part?
I did actually. I've done night mode once before, but I mean, I've never been the world's most thorough shopper. So telling me, hey, overworld shops, forget about it. It's like, all right, cool. K Moon off, definitely an interesting thing. But I think that that's probably a good idea with 5 boss hunts on. I feel like narrowing the key items so that you can get access to all the locations a little easier and is probably helpful for keeping the time down. And, I like a good theme, so having a Start Rydia hero and a Castlevania Night mode is good. And I think T Wild Max Tier 6 was a great choice. If you're going to shut down all these shops, you better give us some way to get things rolling, but not be too crazy. I suppose you could be wildish instead of wild, but honestly, whatever there. All I
Definitely
like.
makes sense. Deathlike, any questions for Commander Leonhardt this evening?
Yeah, I think I enjoyed the attempt on Wyvern because I mean no one else finished it, so congrats to that. That looked like a lot of fun. But I think there was a quest. There was a decision like you. I think you were doing the cheeky check of checking King Queen Eblin, and you had an opportunity to get a second Fu. I assume you went for the second Fu. You didn't go. You kept the point. I guess you were probably decided against to change maybe Porum because you'd have the spell access. But I think you wanted Porum for her MP pool over Fu, or am I? Or what was the decision? I guess.
It was a few different things. It was the MP pool. Was the fact that she was already fairly well leveled and on her way. It was the fact that she could wear a heroine robe, which was giving her the agility she needed to be my first or maybe second actor and landing a quick berserk. Even if I ask Fu to step into her role and say, I need you to berserk people, Fu's not getting a turn until Edward, Cecil, and probably Rydia, with a crystal ring on, have all taken their turns. And that's just not,
Right.
There were a few things that came into play, and those were all each little things that added up to, I'm going to keep Porum instead.
Well, fair enough. I think it's just one of those.
I thought about it though.
I thought it's an interesting decision. Like sometimes you just need the MP. It's Fu can do a lot of things, but Fu can only do so much, only for so much. So yeah, I completely get that.
And I think if I keep Fu there, I'm committing to reflect strats, and I didn't realize at the time I was going to be level 50 some odd by the time I got done. Because, Rydia and 2 Fus can handle that on reflect strats. But, so, several things. But I definitely hovered on it for a minute. Like, clearly I take the... oh, wait. But who do I get rid of?
I think Porum would be the best choice. If you wanted to do it, it would be Porum, because you had the spoon on Edward, so you can't eat him. You had the Cecil, and you can't, and and there's no point of eating your own food unless you kind of reset something. I don't know what would be the case. So,
exactly, and I can't eat the hero. Porum's literally the only choice. Yeah, exactly.
So totally get it. Yep. It's like definitely a good run. I definitely enjoyed the Quint.
Thanks for the comms, Possum and Deathlike. Looking forward to going back and listening to it. Smape D, you hit all the bosses on the moon, and as a fairly avowed member of Team Earth, I'm slightly disgruntled, but I understand. These things happen. Xenocat, I gave you a lot of things to light up. I hope you enjoyed it.
Definitely. Well, thank you again, Commander Leonhardt. GG's to you, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your evening. Thank you, as always, for putting on a great show.
Thank you as well.
All right, y'all. Well, that is going to conclude our restream, but fear not, for we are going to have more free enterprise. No, excuse me, not more free enterprise. We are raiding over to go check out some Desert Bus for Hope. So everyone, stay tuned while we go and check that out. Going to be a great time. As far as us here, again, to all of our runners, thank you so much. One last shout out to Y2 Sky, Warlink, Dave, and Leonhardt. Smape D for doing the restream, Xenocat for pushing the buttons, Deathlike, fantastic doing comms with you. I hope we get to do this again. And I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the evening. There are races happening tomorrow, the Hero's Journey, and then I believe the Sunday Slapdash, and then kicking off the week on Monday again with the next community race. So every single day you will have free enterprise in your life should you choose to accept it. But for now, y'all, have a great evening, and everyone stay healthy, stay blessed, and be good to one another.
Yep. Thanks, Boss Morpheus, for comms and for being and for helping me through this. Thanks everyone for watching. There wouldn't be this if you weren't watching. So, thank you, everyone.